Hello.
Yes, I'm here.
My line got disconnected.
All of us probably.
All have to relog in.
No problem. I think we will. We were at signaling, right?
We have crossed all that signal detection definition.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can go to the next slide, madam.
Yeah.
See, in our voluntary, no, the previous one, please. In our voluntary reporting form, the section, the forms are several fields. Okay. The field number 14, 15, and 8, these are very, very critical fields. And they talk about the seriousness of the reaction, outcome of any drug reaction, and how a causality assessment has been made. So this systematic process only will lead to understanding of adverse events, and further at the end it leads to signal detection. Can I have the next slide?
Banu, you please switch on your video.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
You can watch us.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So the classic adverse events are, from Wilson Browns, where we have A, B, C, D, F, G, H, and U. Okay, and they are based on primarily of the time of the reaction to the administration of the drug, and understanding how these reactions have happened and how serious is the severity, and how it manages the other outcome of drug interactions, or photosensitivity or withdrawal reactions and all. Okay, so let's quickly undergo what are these classifications of ADR, and then it will be easy for us to go further. An argumented reaction is what we can very much predict, which we name as A, and the straight opposite to that is B, which we cannot be predicted by a pharmaco analysis, Norman analysis method. Can we go to the next slide? This examples and all, I assume you can read. We have type C reactions, which is very much based on the biological characters as predicted, and type D reaction that occurs after many years and not because of the immediate reaction, like long term of chemotherapy almost leads to secondary tumors, etc. So this is a, you can remember, A is predicted, B is unpredicted, C is it's a biological characteristic of a molecule, and D is delayed reaction of the molecule. So the classification, most of the reactions happen within this classes. And can I have the next slide? E. This is very much not related to the use of the drug, but rather it is related to withdrawal of the drug. So steroid withdrawals, you can also find almost all the steroids, opioids, substance abuse, all come under this category. Okay, can I have the next slide, please? Also, when the reporting form which we do to the government, we assess, we definitely need to know the seriousness, we definitely know what is the causality, and we have to know how they are, what come and how they are graded as well. So here, when we say seriousness of a reaction, we are referring to major 6 criteria here. Is the person is dead, if that means it's a serious reaction. If the person has to stay in hospital for longer time than he was planned, then we say it is a serious reaction. And if we say this person had a disability of using this drug, yes, definitely, then we say it's also a serious. And if it is teratogenic or can cause birth defects, even that we say as serious. For regulatory purposes, there is also a category called others category, which while submission we use it as medically significant reaction. So all others are also taken as serious. So if none of this, but it caused severe discomfort, it comes under other medically significant events and it is captured under other category. The outcome of the event is always also explained, whether is the patient has recovered, is it ongoing, is it sequel, is it unknown, or recovered within subsequent events. Remember in the beginning of my slide I showed you a green graph which clearly says about the outcome of the reaction is not known, and the drug is also given for a CNS condition. Okay, so it is very, very critical for us to know what is the outcome and have enough patient follow-ups in collecting this information, because this is all indicative of once you put the patient to this particular kind of class of chemicals or drugs, the outcome is very much dangerous. The loss of the patients and follow-up, that indicates clearly that something terribly happens in their head stage of their life. So following up the outcome and knowing the status is very, very critical. Can I have the next slide, ma'am? So when we say datas in adverse event, we are talking about individual reports. We are talking about data collected over a long time. We are also sometimes talk about how the cost has an impact on the population and the adverse events, and what are the comorbid conditions these patients have, and how they are interacting with the adverse events, and is that causing more discomfort when treating with multiple conditions. So can I have the next slide, please? So the causality assessment is based on, remember first we discussed about how an adverse event is classified and A, B, C, D, E, F. We also know about what is the seriousness of the reaction and how they are classified. Seriousness should not be compared with severe. You can have a severe headache, but a heart attack means it's a serious event. So always this is what the standard thumb rule comparison given. But in the study of heart attack, a study of myocardial infarction cases, and you have heart attacks, but you will still predict during the study phase, we are expecting 30 incidents of MI, and if we cross 50, then we will consider as a serious and move forward. So even in those studies, we set the limits and we say this is the acceptable risk in this trial or in this population while treating with this particular drug. Okay, so now the third important point when we submit the data to regulatory authorities is on the causality assessment. The causality assessment here, they are classified into 6 groups. But this is a very, very important point where individual reporter, while submitting the data to the authorities like pharmacists like yours or doctors who are submitting this data, they're going to give an assessment because they are near to the patient. But when the data is coming to the sponsor who are the pharmaceutical manufacturer, they can either agree or disagree. So in that scenario, their views are also expressed and then goes to the government. Okay. So when we say causality assessment and the classification, the first one is you are very sure that it caused this drug, caused this serious reaction in this patient. Like you have a complete lab dependent biomarker results, or the other uh, disorders. All this comes under very clear that this certain, and if I give the patient the medication, these symptoms have come up, and if I have taken the medications, the symptoms are removed. So in those scenarios, we assess and classify them as certain because it's had a severe causal relationship with the adverse event. When we classify probable is when you take a drug and you are not able to see an immediate reaction, but you feel when you remove the drug there is a responsible level is being changed. So therefore we say we don't do a re-challenge in that scenario, because when the drug is removed we are seeing changes. So we say probable or likely in a condition where the re-challenge is not possible, or it is not required, or it is not satisfactory. Okay, can we go to the next slide please? The other two categories are, we are definitely saying it is possible that this drug can cause such an, like many of the drugs cause pigmentation, some cause coloration, some cause liver function tests to evaluate. So we say there's a possible cause of this being working. Very unlikely is means we are not sure. There is a any 90% of the time we are saying the event or lab values or anything what I'm observing and reporting as an adverse event, I don't see there is any relationship at all, and I can clearly tell it is very unlikely that this drug caused this problem. Okay, so can I have the next slide please, ma'am? And they've also recently added two more conditions. This events or laboratory abnormals, they can be conditionally changed or unconditionally not earlier noted, but they have been noted recent times. You need more data to evaluate, and that's the time you say conditional or unclassified, we cannot do anything, but we are reporting, and this is someone for further to understand and check whether this data belongs to what kind of causality portion. Unaccessible and unclassifiable reports are, they cannot be judged. There is no evidence. Like we have the measles vaccines data where you don't have much of, but there is a huge cry telling that this happened, that happened, and it cost some time to withdraw of some vaccines as well from the market in US. So this is like, really not associated, but there are events which people started predicting which is related to it. Can I have the next slide please, ma'am? So further, the causality assessment is worldwide taken up for regulatory submissions, and all the softwares we have in industry used by several consultants would have how this causality is being assessed based on some parameters. And Canadian authorities may ask you to give different causality assessment. US can ask you to give. WHO has set a common standard where whether the reports are present or not, you continue to provide. There are some countries who still don't have proper pharmacovigilance guidelines. So there we use default WHO methods. Okay. We will also go to a few examples of this. Even though it is extra information, it is was at least good to know the names, and as you go further in your educational career you can know more about it. Can I have the next slide please? This is the classical Naranjo algorithms where we score an adverse event and a causality assessment, and we then take a decision on how it is further classified. Are there previous conclusion report of a particular reaction? Then you go and give a value. Is the adverse event affect the suspect drugs which when was administered? Is the ADR improve when the drug is discontinued? Is the ADR reappear when we give the drug? Or alternative causes or reaction reappear when placebo is given or not? Those kind of questions are there in the Naranjo scale. So this Naranjo scale of causality assessment is what we very much use for the centralized data presentation. Ma'am, can I have the next slide, please? The worldwide other reporting Can I have the next slide, please? Yeah. See, when we say adverse events, we in India we have what you call CDISCO's voluntary reporting forms, which you will also have some curriculum in your program, whereas US has MedWatch and all. But even then, the drugs, when we say as a collective term, we are referring to different chemical entities or cluster of chemicals which behave in unified manner. Okay, so the vigilance related to devices are called material vigilance in India. The vigilance related to drugs and drug dependent products called pharmacovigilance. There is also in EU some cosmetic vigilance, vaccine and hemovigilance. Why they have subcategorized them is because vaccine is once a reaction, once it's vaccinated, we don't have the option of going back. Okay, hemovigilance also is too much same, whereas pharmacovigilance again re-challenge and challenge and dependability. Material vigilance is like we may have some devices which you implant, but it is very difficult to remove. When you remove, you cannot carry out some assessments, so they require some specific more questions to know what caused the adverse reactions and how further they can be prevented. Okay, can I have the next slide, please? So overall, we can skip this slide, ma'am. Overall, when we say pharmacovigilance, we are talking about huge database where several kind of informations are available. Okay. See, now we discussed about government have several forms. The form have several classifications, outcome assessment, seriousness assessment, causality assessment. Okay, and all these assessments are go through in correlation with something called medra. Medra is a medical dictionary for reporting standards, where each it's same like your ATC, anticiple and therapeutical classification. You have what is called system organ classification, and in that you have all the reactions are coded, and from there it goes into the analysis. Okay, so when we do analysis, we are not talking about individual form, we are not talking about individual PSU or the forms collected over a period of time. We also take in count what happened in animal studies, what happened in clinical data, then what happened in multiple literature works, and if the investigator has initiated a study, and what happens to that. And also some regulatory authorities can come up with a warning. A classic example is Simvastatin given to this Chinese population. They have a very specific warning. So those things, kind of information are put together along with the SOC classification. What is SOC classification is we have 27 subcategories, of which every medical reactions are coded and analyzed and reported. In this 27 categories also, we are taking up nearly about 10 to 11 categories, which are very, very important. And every drug which we use is first reported in this manner, and then second report to overall database. Okay, so what you see here, like anaphylactic or cerebrovascular convolutions and depression, drug abuse, glycemia, ischemic heart disease, these are the first category what any drug would undergo reporting. We will run this structure SMQs, they are called standard medical queries, which is with the help of medra we will present data with in this classified manner. Can I have the next slide, please? So when we start presenting about the data, all the individual cases what you have collected, they get into classified and they get presented in the your vertical bar, so that you know what is the most biggest signal in this particular reaction. Here you can see, you know, gastrointestinal disorder is the biggest. Okay, so madam, we know pharmacovigilance, drug reaction, and we collected the data. We have done the causality assessment, and now SOC classification, MEDRA coding we have finished, and we have presented the data in the graphical manner. This is what, so what is more to do about it? This is very simple. We are done. Just hold on. This is where our problem comes in. Can you go to the next slide, please? So with this, you know, if you see, okay, yeah, the gastrointestinal disorder is the problem with this particular drug. But when we really do drug analysis, can I have the next slide? When we say signal detection, we are going to get signal like this bunches. So which direction you are going to take, you will have no clue. Okay, you will be still confused. But okay, we will say that is this is a new signal or is the whole signal. So even that comparison we have to do. It may look very funny, but when you get a data with all XYZs and causality, medical coding, SOC, this are all the three things you have, but you are doing data mining within this limited parameters. Okay, and this really gets interesting from this point, because how you predict the pattern using a logarithm. Okay, the world biggest can I have the next slide please, ma'am? Yeah, so this is again, you know, signal detection and all. I don't want to go into very in depth, because we have can I have the next slide? Yeah, this is a real picture of Dr. Napkin. What he did in Upasala is, whenever he received an adverse event, he tried to keep it inside the pigeon boxes on their adverse event reporting collection center. Okay, when he received something serious, he color coded them as red, and which is normally known reaction, he color coded as blue. So every box he see, he immediately know where is more red flags are there. In fact, the current signaling system, Emfrica, what we have, is follows this kind of color coding representation of adverse events. Can I have the next slide, please? Yeah. So adverse event by signal detection by definition is a examination of individual case reports, your aggregated data from active surveillance studies, literatures, and other data sources. So this is where we have the signal detection happening, inclusive of all this data into one database. Yeah. Can I have the next slide, please? So now I have taken into an hypothetical example, three say CNS or blood thinner drugs. Okay, so can I have the next slide? There are also some raw data which is not part of this presentation. Whereas whenever we have the typical approach to manage any statistical problem is Bayesian method will be there, pair test will be there, ANOVA will be there. Yeah. So in this Bayesian method, we try to find fractions, and we try to find what is the difference between fractions between two populations, and then we come up to a conclusion of what is the event in unexpected, unexposed population versus the event in exposed population. So we call this method as a causal concepts, by which we can predict signals from the population who are exposed to different kinds of drug. Can I have the next slide now? This is again a disproportionate method, where you have populations which are not equal or not in same size, but you are end up with the reporting system. Can I have the next slide? Yeah. So the UDRA vigilance, when we say EU as a unified system, they follow the proportional reporting system. In India also, we follow mostly proportional reporting system. And sometimes we follow what is the WHO is advised us. Okay, this is based on a very simple 2x2 table. Can I have the next slide, please, ma'am? Yeah, you have a medicinal product, you have other medicinal product, you have number of events in the medicinal product. For example, product A produced 50 cases of migraine, and you have in your database, after release of this product, 100 cases of migraine. So you take that A plus B, and you have other medicinal products which have migraine produced, and all other events during that period. So this gets into 2x2 contingency table, which is a very clear indication of how much new events have been added to the database after addition of a particular drug into the market. Okay. Can I have the next slide, please? Yeah. QScan is another these are the softwares which have been used by people for larger data mining. Emfrica is the biggest which database. AG Signal is from Aris Global, and we have DS Explorer. Okay, and Emfrica is what most people use as a standard example, whereas the other products are also equivalently good and they are new. Okay, can I have the next slide, please? Yeah. So these are basically lot of formulas in that. When you go through that, you can understand how a signal detection at a very primary level you can do using the data. But to do data analysis, what you need to have is access to, see, when we are reporting, we are talking about having total number of migrants in worldwide population during that period. So how do you know that data? So you need to have access to import data from various safety databases. WHO provides those features. Udra Vigilance also have those features. Indian is also coming up with these features. So therefore, our databases versus the event is what the real calculation is going on. Can I have the next slide? This is a PPR method where you have, I have given you examples of how you equate the population and how you come up with the ratio by dividing. Therefore, you know, number of the score is always becomes equals. Okay. So then there is no addition of new cases in the market. And if the score is changed, that means there is a change in the ratio of risk and benefits. Okay, can we go to the next slide? This is again an example for you how these confidence levels are used in proportionate reporting method where this formula is applied. Can I have the next slide? This will be too high level if I try to explain. So I have come to a real-time data where you can understand how multiple things are analyzed and presented. Okay. So we have 3 drugs which is used for blood thinning and other indications. And when we do analysis, we have again, you see the SOC system, that is what used for classification and coding of adverse events, and each drug which produced these events have been put into a graph which is under same bar. Okay, can I have the next slide, please? So now here you can see earlier when we see a drug, we felt the gastrointestinal disorder was the largest signal issued in for the particular drug. When you try to import that data into this, here you will see the more serious problem is the cardiovascular, but it's under the same class of drug, but classically different from other drugs of the same group, and therefore treatment modality using of this is with the different risk and benefit ratios. Okay, can you see the graph, all of you?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I don't know whether they can,
Oh, they cannot respond because they are in mute. Yeah.
mute. Yeah, I understand. So when we say signal, 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 the previous thing where you saw a new signal coming up, and there are also chances that how important and how serious this signal is and how it is needs to be communicated. Okay, so they say, is it an unexpected, it needs to be immediately communicated. You also have several triaging formulas how to communicate those signals. And this is also one of the reason when we say adverse event reporting to the government, we are telling 90 days, 70 days after marketing, you can submit batch of data. 30 days you have to submit. You have to run literature search every 15 days to know any new things have come up. These are the few timelines which government has given for post-marketed products. But whereas we are talking about uh, clinical trials, it is immediate. We are not talking about any time differences there. But whereas in a marketed product, for example, there are a lot of trials going now for current viral situation, pandemic. So when you do those studies, and the report gets immediately reported, or there are drugs which without even knowing what is a clinical safety, you have the product being administered. So in that case, reporting of adverse event immediately to the government, and they may follow up the methodology. That's why government has issued what is called Indian PVPI guidelines. Later it became a CDSCO guidelines for marketing authorization holder who have permission to market a product in India would follow, implement those systems in their place. Okay, so this is basically all the SMPCs. I'm sure you're aware of what is SMPC, CCDS, PIS. All the information of a newly launched product is constantly kept, watched, and updated. And literature search is carried on 15 days once. Your ICSR submission is aggressively followed, scored, classified, and reported to the government. Can I have the next slide, please, ma'am? So I have almost come to the conclusion of my presentation. I would like to conclude by saying dying from a disease is sometimes unavoidable, but dying from an adverse drug reaction is really unacceptable. And this brings to end of my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
There are many things we have thrown around, several jargons, but the audience need to look into this, and what is it, if they dig into further, they will definitely get more and more interesting information.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Banu, for the wonderful explanation on what is pharmacovigilance, which is required, ideally required for these students. And I would like to add one more point, because recently we could see many drugs which are already in use, like very common drug portfolio, like ranitidine. If the current ADR was reported as NDMA presence is deemed to be carcinogenic, and it is government has been directed to withdraw the post-released manufactured product in the market, immediately withdrawn with immediate effect. So these are the outcomes of the ADR monitoring which is happening on a continuous mode, right? So for any cycle and growth of the product, as you rightly said, post-marketing surveillance is the key to have a success rate and better utility of the launched product, and they particularly with the ANDA filings.
Correct.
So
You're so right.
many companies are now focusing only on the ANDA filings and B2B 505(b)(2). And 505(b)(2) is going to be the future era of pharmaceutical industry, where signaling and mapping is only going to help them.
Correct.
So I think this session would have been an ice-breaking session for all my students to understand what is pharmacovigilance and what is PMS and what is signaling. I really like that multi-signaling image, because once you are into the real research platform, no, all the ADRs are not reported earlier. So one in a class, there is no teacher, how a class will behave. The
That
ADR,
is how the
that is how the signal pattern will be. And all the
yes.
ADR for the new research molecules will be like hanging on. I used to call those reactions as a devil's phenomena, because you could not find where the devil is.
What kind of devil is to?
And that is the key thing, and that's where really the ideology behind the real researcher and the so-called researcher stands differentiated. So anyway, thank you for so much for the wonderful evening with you, and I feel that the students are enlightened and they did understand about something about pharmacovigilance. Thank you so much, Banu.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you. And the article has forms and reference links. So if they see if they search the database with Google also, they will get a lot of information as well.
Okay.
Thank you so
So
much.
I wish all the participants also to big thanks for all the patient listening. And I would have render again my special thanks to Dr. Banu and his team for the special time-driven action to make this.
Yeah, we have finished exactly in 1 hour.
That's why
So
I
we
used.
have
That's why I used a time-driven action on the completion of the event. And anyway, stay tuned, and we will get back with other interesting topics very soon, shortly. And thank you for the time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Deepa.
Yeah.
Bye.